On Black Folks Talk, a new definition of wealth. Now, I didn't mean to do this in this context, but I shared with you in the very last video that one of the reasons that the Republicans are running all over 68% of the populace and getting things that they want is because they're wives. A lot, this whole idea about, conservative men are very attractive because they will let you stay home. They know they have a responsibility to go and bring in the money so the wife can stay home, and that's very attractive. I've heard a number of Black men saying that. Not Black men, but white men saying that. And a few Black men have also picked that up. The more reasonable sides of the manosphere occasionally talk about men needing to do this in order to have women's respect. But do you know what that actually means, what that entails? These women are not just staying home, going to the spa and looking cute. Go read some history. These women are out there running the republic. The book that was published about this was Republican Motherhood, 1815, outlining the white woman's duties in this republic called the United States of America. This was not passing. We have stories about these women in the Revolutionary War nailing down, melting down the spoons to make bullets for the Continental Army in the 1770s. These women are part of the war machine of white nationalism in this earth. And if you read your history carefully, you will notice this. White women are by no means innocent. The people who kept Marian Anderson from singing in Constitution Hall, even though Marian Anderson was every inch a citizen as they were, according to the 15th Amendment, were the daughters of the Confederacy. The women who keep on pushing heavy conservative politics because they have time to go to the school boards and they have time to be very politically active on a grassroots level are these women whose husbands make it possible for them to have time to do that. White supremacy is a team sport. The women are very much involved. But how is it that they have time to do all of this? Well, it also has to do with the fact that their men understand that wealth and income is a three-legged table. We've talked about this before. So most of us in the Black community continue to have arguments going around and around and around and around and around in circles about just one part of income. And that one part of income comes from the fact that we are only looking at the income that we can earn by our blood, sweat, and tears. This part right here, earned income. Basically, we're getting a little bit of pay to only be talking about what our labor can produce. Meanwhile, our white counterparts have all three: earned income, business income, investment income. Red for blood, sweat, and tears, Black for being in the Black as a business, and green for growth, investment. It's also red, black, and green. I just stayed with the same color scheme, but I also did that for a purpose. So because they have all three access points, they have time for their wives to stay home, go to the spa, look cute, go to the gym, keep a size that's attracted to her husband, and also get involved in politics and go to the school board and get what they want, including the story of slavery taken out of school books. They can get the people on the school board that they want because they also have their women have time to master their politics on a grassroots level. They are out competing everyone else because they are managing all three parts of this. So how do we do the mind shift change that will allow us to be able to move over here, which is what I really want to talk about yesterday. So imagine this. We'll go back to where we were, because this isn't so much about money on hand. Actually, you know what? Let's go here. Imagine this. So we're basically going out further into the universe of the mind. We have gone to the womb of thought. And myself over a little bit more so you can see that artwork completely. Nope, there we go. We are now returning to the womb of the mind. We're going to put a new idea in here today. Okay? I made this piece where I call it the womb of the night. It represents the star cluster, but the way the red stars and yellow stars showed up, you kind of have a sense of a cosmic womb. So we're going to use this for our thought today. Buckminster Fuller gave us an idea to help us switch our mind space over from somewhere that we must boldly go where most of us as Black people have never ever gone before. Buckminster Fuller was quoted by Robert Kiyosaki as saying, wealth can be defined as how many days forward you can survive without working. So we have left the earned income category entirely. How many days, if you could never work again, like I had to think about this question and it came up in my mind because if I had a more severe case of COVID and never could think about going out of the house to go back to work, how many days forward could I survive based on my business and investing skills? And I realized because I have certain of those skills, it's a very different conversation for most people who have not thought about this yet. So this is your opportunity to think about how do you deal with the three legs. Now we can also one up Mr. Fuller and say how many days forward can you thrive? But notice that this stops all the arguments that we are constantly having about, well, I can't be a person of value unless I'm making this much money. No, you have to figure out what constitutes surviving and thriving in your life. And then figure out how many days forward can you achieve that without working. What kind of money do you need to have put away? What kind of investment may you have to make? What kind of earned income do you need right now to be able to do this? What kind of business might you have to open and learn the skills to be made successful and then do that? But the point here is to get to the point, the day that you can say indefinitely, I will not need earned income again, by Buckminster Fuller's definition, you are a wealthy person. There's no dollar amount attached. This whole conversation about, he needs to earn, I can't get with him unless he has six figures, or men thinking, oh, well, I have to become a high value man. That whole conversation goes out the window. Because in all phases of your life, that may not do it. If you listen to Stephanie Perry or Alicia Renice, the artist, you may also realize that there is another option. You can stop chasing American materialism as the goal. And survive and thrive on much less, inside the country or out. Now, by the time we do this, of course, all these questions about having time to do American politics just go off the table too, now don't they? Because now you're dealing with, I have time to figure out, do I want to do my life living here, struggling with this for the rest of my life, taking my time off and having to be a self-governing representative republic, having to spend all my time staying on top of my local, state, my school board and doing local politics, or I can figure out how to, if I'm making $30,000 a year here, certain places in the world I can go, if I can get that remotely, I can live 1,000 places in the world and I don't have to be bothered. Or I can learn how to find peace and contentment in having a minimalist life and then have time to affect the things I want to in society. And if I can string a few of those things together, because Stephanie Perry has a thing going on where they're going to take $25,000. She's raising $25,000 for an artist to give a year off. You know what that means? That means that artist is in a sustainable situation for $25,000 a year. And she's going to live and do what? Do her art. Because here's the other thing about this. Buckminster Fuller said days, not years. He's not talking about you thinking about you're going to live for 30 years after retirement. What can you do? How many days can you survive forward? What would your day look like? How much money do you need per day? What does your day look like? And how much money does it take to do that? That's a very different calculation than you looking at a dollar amount. And by the way, let's go here. If you could figure out how to put 4 months of days together, you did an investment, you did a project that gave you 4 months to work with once. By the time 4 months was up, if you were absolutely dedicated to not having to go back to do earned income, you could probably find something else in that same time period to do another 4 months and another 4 months and another 4 months. And in case you don't understand how this works, I already mentioned Stephanie Perry and Alicia Renice, the artist. 2 good channels to figure this out. Because even with everything going on with the federal government and everything going on with the Supreme Court, you can actually still craft your own life in this country or not in this country. But you have to get outside the box. You have to start growing new ideas in your mind. See that? See that? Well, I can't actually. Let's see if I find. Well, if I point it at, I block it out. I'm giving you a different idea to turn around in your mind to hatch a different kind of life. If you want to have time to be effective in your community, because all these kids that, someone said today that people who only care about the kids who are going to be born never did care about them. I put in 25 years. You have to make certain decisions to be able to pay your bills and work with those that can't care for you. I've got 25 years under my belt, and it's going to require more. It's going to require more. So I got to make different kinds of investments because if I'm working with them, I'm not getting earned income. Children cannot pay. So on a Buckminster Fuller level, I have to look at how many days do I intend to spend doing that versus how many days am I going to spend with earned income. So I have to work out that number. But see, this is the thing, y'all. The reason that we are getting run all over by people who understand this is because understanding these other two sources of money give you the ability to plan your life and your politics and your future in a different way than depending just on earned income. And we sit around as Black people and we argue all day long about earned income and who has it and who doesn't and how much, and put our whole self-worth, our entire self-worth on how much earned income. As I said before, people who are getting other types of income are sitting up there laughing at us, trying to work a shaky version of doing a shaky version that they can, those of us that don't own businesses and have investments, those that do can snatch your ability to earn money with them away from you at any time. There's a recession coming. And the other way this breaks down is these male-female arguments. Both of us are looking for someone else to solve the problem. No, it is the 21st century. If you hear my voice and you are on YouTube, you need to start learning about these other two sources of income. How many days can you survive forward, do survival first without earning income? The more you know about business. Now we're going to keep this. Most people can start a small business first, but you want to keep learning to, if you really don't have a knack at business, to build a business big enough to employ. And you really need to think about the corporate form. But let's start with something small that you can do and sell first, and then work your way up, and then think about investment. If you're someone who has an earned income position that you like, maybe what you want to learn about, you don't want to necessarily quit and start a business. You want to learn about investments. Maybe that's what you want to do. But if you're listening to me, you have access to learning. There's a big correction. I don't know if it's an outright bear market in all markets, but there's a big correction coming in housing. There's a big correction coming in stocks, and a big correction has already occurred in crypto, which is now in a bear market. So there's opportunities if you can learn what to do with them. But no one can do this for you. No one's planning on doing it for you. You have to decide whether you can plan days that do not require you living on entirely earned income. So you have time to do powerful local politics. You have the time to put in to do powerful local politics. No one's going to do this for you. The Democrats are going to keep lying to you about what's really going on. We demonstrated in our last video a 50-year lie about the United States Constitution that has been current. And now the Supreme Court has actually reversed out this lie. Everybody's mad at the Supreme Court. Separation of church and state never existed. Now you got to go to your school board. Well, if you don't have time because you have to work 9 to 5 and you can't do that, and you're going to continue to be run all over by people that understand all three forms of income and have already solved Buckminster Fuller's riddle. And now I have given you the key to solve it. Don't get me wrong, y'all. I know that this is a lot. What I'm talking to you about, I have had years to think about. And again, it still took COVID world clarity to bring some of these things available to me. But it is imperative that you begin to shift your thinking out of the common arguments and shift your thinking into learning how to plan a life that is not entirely dependent on every lie you have been told in the American system. There are plenty more where the lies we have been told came from. Plenty more. At some point, well, no, this is actually enough for one video. I have one more to do, and it'll be shorter than these two. And it may go up on Wednesday morning, we'll see. But it is really important that you begin to think differently. Buckminster Fuller's riddle is a big key, even in a time in which rights are being taken away, that many have cherished, and that rights that never quite existed and were made up by whole cloth have also been cherished by many, but then were snatched away because they never existed. And people in authority are playing crueler games than ever before. You still have a tremendous amount of ability to craft your own life with the tools that are still available to us in the United States of America. And if we are going to hold what is important to us, we're going to have to get these tools in usage, because those who want things to be the way they want them to be are playing the game with all three levers. We're going to have to get caught up. We're going to have to get caught up. Or things will continue as they're going. You can be a victim or a victor. Now, in reality, life offers this opportunity to be both, but you can shift the balance a little bit more in your direction. Solve Buckminster Fuller's riddle for yourself. If you had to live in a world without any income, if you want to have time to go talk to the school board at all of its meetings, if you want to sit up in the park at 3:19 on the days that you're not going to the school board, you're going to have to find a way to do that without needing earned income that day. And if you can find a legal way to do this using knowledge that is freely available to you on the internet to learn, because that's where I learned a lot of mine, then I took some specialized courses that I also was able to get access to because of the internet, then you're going to have a way of crafting a life that you want to live for yourself and for any family you may have. And also, by extension, any community of people, any circle that is interested in the same things. All right, another long video. There's a lot going on. One shorter one coming up may come out tomorrow. We'll see. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.